we're back. So today we're going to be covering a very sensitive topic in turntablism, and that is Scratch DJ Academy's 4 out of 6 branches closing down. I believe that's the Chicago, Miami, Philly, and the Atlanta branches all closing down. And nobody's talking about this, so we're going to be talking about that today, about why are they closing down, what's going on, and also Scratch DJ Academy's curriculum and things like that. All right, so today's just we're gonna try to be as brief as possible, but we'll see how long this goes. So we're just gonna give a little background to start. So I'm just gonna read this here how everything started in 2002. I believe it was May of 2002 that it started, and Jam Master Jay was assassinated later that year in October of 2002. Right. So Ambition today, Rob Principe, founder, or if it's French is Principe. I'll just go with the Spanish, version of it. So Rob Principe, uh, Principe, founder and CEO of Skratch, partnering with Jam Master Jay of Run DMC, the future of music, and the rise of the DJ. So this is him right here. And it's very important to note that this room right here that has the window at Scratch DJ Academy is gone now. They had to, I don't know whether they sold it or whether they're just renting it out, but there's another school, like an electronic music school, that uses this room now, the window. So at Scratch DJ Academy New York, they're using the back room. And we're going to be going into to all the details. But I just think it just seems like, year by year, it seems like the expansion was really fast over the past 20 or so years, but it just seems like it's in decline, and it seems like it could possibly, all of them could be possibly shutting down, given that they just sold their only windows to a third party company. I forget the name of the company, but I know it's like a electronic music teaching school, educational school. All right, so this is Rob uh, Principe, CEO of Scratch Music Group. Episode 9 of Ambition Today finds us with King of the DJs, Rob Principe, the founder of and CEO of Scratch Music Group. Growing up in Long Island as a child, Rob loved music, especially Run DMC. One day, the popular music group happened to sit down next to him on a plane as he was traveling to a tennis tournament. Afterwards, he took a picture with the group. Fast forward, years later, Rob had founded Scratch Music Group, and after some hustle, Rob would show this very picture to Jam Master Jay of Run DMC in a green room at the Letterman show in New York while pitching him his vision. Jam Master Jay was in, and together they co-founded the Scratch DJ Academy. I found Rob's story to be pretty incredible. During this episode, we go over the history of Scratch as well as all these other things. So you see all that. So we're not going to go through all that. I just wanted to give you a little background on how it started. So let's start off. So now we're going to start off with the first branch, the most recent branch that closed. We're going to go in chronological order. So let's go with this one. Scratch DJ Academy. This is the main Scratch DJ Academy, but we're going to go and talk about MIA closing recently. It just closed this fall around the same time, or this winter maybe, past winter, around the same time as DJ Knockers, who's a really sick turntablist, the winner of the USDMC last year. I actually got to be there in New York and see him win, and it was dope. He was really, really sick, very, very diverse level of skills, a lot of dope juggles, a lot of dope scratching. And he destroyed the competition that night. He was using all different types of genres from dubstep to classic to whatever. He was flipping everything, and it was very, very dope. And so the students that got to have him as a teacher, they were very, very lucky. Now here at TTM Academy, being the apex of hip hop science, we're going to be also going into why Scratch DJ Academy is not using any TTM notation in its branches. The New York branch, we've gone over before with Dirty Digits uses it, but the other branches never used it, and all those branches that closed down never used it. And when I first created TTM Academy, I made it as a free DJ school because I wanted to give people everything for free. Because I feel like a lot of times when people are teaching students, what happens is that they try to milk them for money. And what they'll do is, for me, I can teach somebody backspinning in one class. You know what I'm saying? One class, you can get all the backspinning down, and even basic juggling, and even basic scratching in just 2 hours. And then another class, maybe 4 hours. You can teach somebody, you can start to give them a little bit more advanced, juggling techniques and things like that. Not to say that you can just be an advanced juggler in 2 classes, but what I'm saying is that a lot of, uh, schools use the model that we've all grown up in kind of like a colonial type of, milk the cow type of thing, to where, they just kind of let things kind of drip out, and they extend things longer than they need to be. That's just my critique of DJ schools in general. So when I created TTM Academy, I wanted to bypass all that and just give everybody the information for free. You know what I'm saying? Get like, hey, how do I do a flare scratch? How do I do, what I'm saying, a chirp? And just bypassing all that information, bypassing having to, pay for the curriculum and do this and that, so that they could just, rewind the lecture and over again. And that's, in my personal opinion, I think that's why a lot of these DJ schools are closing, is because people can just go online on YouTube and find the information right there. But yeah, shout out to Knockers. He really, really killed it. And, all right, so let's go to Scratch MIA. So this is Scratch DJ Academy MIA. And no, if you notice, there's not a lot of, mention of any of these branches that have closed. You can go to Yelp or, Google, and they'll say, the branch is closed and stuff like that. But outside of Google and Yelp and all that type of stuff, you don't really, they're not posting it like that. This is no longer a functioning school. Yeah, and you would think that, a organization would kind of do that. And we can see here's the Chicago school, and let's see when that about when it closed. You can see it goes back to 2019. And so we're going to go through these and analyze these and see if any of these have been using TTM, because what I've noticed is that a lot of people look at DJing as purely vocational. And what vocational means, for those that don't know, we're going to go to the vocational. Um, um, at TTM Academy, we're not a vocational school because we're dealing with high science and physics and mathematics, and not just how to use technology, but how to use science to tweak technology, right? And flip it and take it to higher levels. So, a vocational school, trade school, or technical school is a type of educational institution which, depending on the country, may be referred to either secondary or post secondary education, designed to provide vocational education or technical skills required to complete the task of a particular and specific job. So, a lot of people look at DJing as a job. And Scratch DJ Academy offers, wedding DJs and, party DJs and stuff like that. And I'm not sure who these DJs are that they're booking, but it's just very, very interesting that all these branches are closing in the wake of a boom in turntablism. All over the world, there's a lot of DJ schools opening up, and DJ education is thriving. So today we're going to be asking a question: why is Scratch DJ Academy not thriving when all these other schools around the world are thriving? Now let's see. So in the case of secondary education, well, I don't need to read any of that. So with regards to post-secondary education, vocational schools are traditionally distinguished from four-year colleges by their focus on job-specific training to students who are typically bound for one of the skilled trades. So that's how people look at turntablism, like, this is a job, and, Howard Stern's a DJ, and, what do you call it? Paris Hilton's a DJ, and all that type of stuff. So what's the difference between Paris Hilton and DJ Craze, right? It's like, obviously there's a big difference. But if you go to most typical DJ schools, even like SAE and things like that, they're not going to really even show you the difference between Paris Hilton and Craze. You're just going to get, very basic instruction. So, we're going to go through each of the branches and all that type of stuff. So let's close this vocational school. So I just want to give you all that as some background. Okay. So yeah, let's kind of scroll down here. You can see, they've been around a very, very long time, and let's actually play this clip from to give you a background about in 2002 when it happened, and Jam Master Jay, rest in peace, one of my favorite turntablists, who inspired me as a kid in the 80s, definitely. And I didn't even know it was scratching back in the day. I just heard the music on the thing. I didn't even know it was being done with the turntable until I got a little bit older. But let's hear this. It's very important. Let me.
Jam Master Jay are speaking for the very first time since two men were convicted of murdering their father more than 20 years ago. You may recall he was.
So the murderer of Jam Master Jay was just, they just figured it out. And forever, nobody knew.
Gunned down here in New York City at a recording studio in 2002. Last month, Carl Jordan Jr. and Ronald Washington were found guilty of the murder, and prosecutors called it a drug deal gone bad. But now, two of Jam Master Jay's sons, that's TJ and Jesse Mizell, say that explanation is just not right. CBS New York anchor, that's Maurice Dubois, spoke to them at Skratch DJ Academy, which was co-founded by their dad.
But the narrative right now is that he was selling cocaine to support his family because the Run DMC money wasn't coming in the way it had been.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
How does that sit with you?
We strongly believe that that's false. Like, we believe that there was money involved, and whether that was his money or not, it's not like he's selling drugs. He was literally just touring. Run DMC was touring at the time that he passed, So we really feel like it was like his money being taken and being used to do other things.
Jam Master Jay is also known for buying cars for everyone on the block on Christmas. When Christmas came around, 3 people were getting a Toyota, and like, we have a big family, like, we never longed for anything.
And then you ultimately decided not to go to the trial itself.
Yeah.
Why? Sure. Why was that? Why did you want to stay away?
We keep ourselves out of all that. It's all.
Children of the late Run.
Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to show you all that. Just giving some background. So let's hop out of there.
DMC star.
Let's see. All right, so let's go back to this, and then we're gonna go through some of the history of all this. Let's click on A-Track.
Have you ever wondered how come every scratch DJ just has these samples? How do we where do we get these sounds? What are these records? Where are we getting this? Well, today we're going to talk about scratch records, battle records, break beats, whatever you call them. Secrets revealed. So this beat is from Super Duck Breaks by the Turntablist. Everyone sampled from this. I mean, you hear these drums.
All right, so they were able to get some guest appearances. We see A-Track there and stuff like that. Let's just kind of scroll through and we're just gonna kind of gloss over and just scroll through this whole history of Scratch DJ Academy New York. So the 2 locations that are still available are Scratch DJ Academy New York and Scratch DJ Academy LA. And I see they have online lessons right there. And this is cool, 7 Black music pioneers that shape music today. But the center of today's lecture is the fact that why is there no TTM in most of these Scratch DJ Academy branches? Because, it's like saying if you have, this is why I brought up vocational schools, because if you have a school, for instance, if I were to say this is a school about teaching somebody mathematics, and we're not using a whiteboard to show how to do a fraction or the multiplication symbol or the division symbol, or you're not actually drawing it on the board, then it becomes vocational. And it becomes it's actually it's not as highbrow as when you're actually writing the stuff on the board and doing the science and doing the math. And so that's what my critique of all this is that if you've noticed, they never invited me to speak at any of these branches. And what I actually found was, when I got a house in Atlanta, I this was like back in 2018. I was trying to reach out to people. I never even had gone to the Scratch in Atlanta, and I really wanted to go. And so let's see, let's go to the Atlanta version. Yeah, the Atlanta one right here. So if scroll down here, you can see the Atlanta one. And yeah, so right now I'm always hollering at people and seeing if I can get teaching gigs and things like that for turntablism. And nobody, not one DJ school in America has ever wanted me to come to lecture on my science on TTM physics, which is a field of physics that I created. And I've been in, New York this whole time for decades. I've been in Atlanta, back in Atlanta since like 2018. I'm back and forth between Atlanta and New York. And, neither of them ever contacted me or reached out to me. And I don't mind, I'm not here trying to be salty or anything like that. I'm really out here saying that this is the reason why I created TTM Academy as a battle DJ. And as a rapper as well, is to destroy the competition. So TTM Academy, we're the apex of hip hop science, and I intend to, if schools aren't, helping the culture and pushing it forward, I have to call it out, even if it's something that people are afraid to touch on or talk about. So that's why we're going to be talking about this today. It's a very, very serious subject as far as turntablist education, because in my view, turntablist education is being dumbed down worldwide, and hip hop education is being dumbed down worldwide. And this is one of the reasons why, all around the world, there's a lot of institutions that are suppressing my realm of physics that's used and known all around the world. But, in places like South America, people are using it. You know what I'm saying? Mexico, people are using it. But America, we're very, very resistant to a lot of new things because of cronyism. Like, hey, I'm a DJ, I know what to do. I can, teach these people. But being able to write things down always speeds up the process of anything, whether it's literature or whether it's mathematics or science class. If you never had a whiteboard in class, then you're at a loss. You know what I'm saying, for any subject. So that's like I'm saying, that's my critique of this situation, is that they weren't unique enough. And I hope the main ones don't close in LA and New York, but it seems like it's kind of going that direction, given that they just had to, sell their windows and stuff like that to, they had to either lease it or buy it. I mean, lease it or sell it. I'm not sure which one, but this kind of shocked me right here. So I've never met Precise in my life. I'm a fan of his work. I'm a fan of all turntablists pushing the culture forward. And so I'm like, okay, Scratch DJ Academy, and I click, let's say I click on Precise. Boom, he has me blocked. Sorry, this page isn't available. So y'all can see, he knows who I am, and he doesn't want to be associated with me. Ever since I started doing, DJ news and covering stories, people have been trying to, suppress, not only suppress my work, but also just, shun me. So that's why on Instagram you'll see like, oh, I got 30 likes, where somebody, farts on a in their mixer, and then they get 1,000 likes by turntablists. Turntablists are scared to click like on my stuff. You can actually see here, I'm going to click profile, and if I hit reels, you can see people are watching. Everybody's on some voyeur stuff. It's a lot of F-boys, a lot of, Supreme, Drake type of people. But that's what's great, because now we're in a new era where Hoteps are back on top with the #1 single with Kendrick bringing consciousness back in hip hop. So now that consciousness back, all the all the Supreme kind of, when I say Supreme, I'm talking about Supreme, the clothing store, not any other type of Supreme, but just that demographic, that block, the kind of fashion hip hop block, where they're kind of metro eyebrow pluck kind of, not dissing people who pluck their eyebrows. I'm just talking about the that particular block, like the people that are really, really into Supreme. And a lot of times, a lot of those people, like, I'm just talking about Drake type of fans, where people that are into the visual elements of the culture, the mixers, the look, the hats and all that, but they're not down for the soul of the culture. So like that's what I mean. The soullessness is what I mean by the Supreme block. So That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, you can see. So 1,600 people saw this, right? But only 88 click like. It's like this is literally AI DJing, and 1,600 DJs are like, yeah, I'm not gonna click like, but I'm gonna peep what they're doing. So I'm gonna try to make my own and capitalize off of it. And we're gonna be going into Scratch Viewer and as well as Scratch. Alex Sonnenfeld. I mean, really Nicholas Karras at the beginning, but now it's Nicholas Karras left, and we're going to be talking about all of that. He says he's never going to be working on turntablist software again, because of all that, this crazy ordeal with Alex and Bob Kruger and their shadiness and all that. They actually pushed him out of his own company because originally it was me and Nick working together on stuff, and then Nick teamed up with I guess he when he teamed up with Bob and Alex, Nick ghosted me. I'm talking about Nick C. All right, so but yeah, you see everybody's I got this is the apex of hip hop science, but I probably have the lowest views in the hip hop world, of hip hop educational institutions or blogs or whatever. All this stuff is being heavily suppressed, not only by layman's to the subject, but to the actual turntablist community. But like I said before, and we've covered, there's a lot of bigotry and stuff like that in turntablism, and it's kind of apparent in these type of things. All right, so let's get back to where we were. All right, so yeah, so I was kind of shocked when I found that Precise has me blocked because he was a teacher at the Scratch DJ Academy in Atlanta. And when I came to Atlanta in 2018, that would have been the perfect opportunity for me to go down there, build with them. I would have given them Matrix posters. I actually sent Scratch DJ Academy a Matrix poster in New York, and it got sent back to me all destroyed. And we're going to talk about that in a whole other lecture. But that was kind of shocking me. I'm like, was it just mail that got returned, or did somebody just step on it and put it back? It was like literally destroyed. It was in a roll. It was in a like a roll that's very hard to destroy, and it was sent from New York to New York. It wasn't like it went to Beijing and it went through some crazy long mail pathway. It literally was sent from. I sent a poster from Bed-Stuy, and the poster was sent to Manhattan. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we'll talk about that in the future. But yeah, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's. Let me go. All right, so yeah, so we're gonna keep scrolling down. We see they've invited children. They invite all different types of people to perform or lecture or things like that. But why not the inventor of actual scratch notation? Notice that. So in my estimation, it seems like any school that's hiding scratch notation and hiding the history of it and the inventor of it and all that type of stuff, they might be destined for becoming obsolete. Because as DJ education advances, people know what scratch notation is now, and people know a lot more than a lot of the schools that are teaching. That's why people just go online. So like all of these kind of pseudo kind of DJ schools might be closing in the future. And this has nothing to do with Jam Master Jay's legacy. Shout out to Jam Master Jay, but he died right when this stuff was all starting. You know what I'm saying? It had just started, and he passed away literally that fall. So to give background on that, let's go. So yeah, what month? Scratch DJ Academy in New York was the first place in the world where aspiring DJs could learn their trade. When it was opened in May 2002, so that's exactly when it opened. So yeah, let's get to Scratch Miami location closing after 18 years. All right, so after 18 years of teaching South Florida how to DJ, or I guess South Florida how to DJ, Scratch DJ Academy will close its Hollywood location at the end of September. The first Miami location opened in South Beach in 2005. Moving to Wynwood and then the Design District before settling into Hollywood in 2017. Instructors will continue to offer online lessons, but as far as brick and mortar school in South Florida, those days seem to be over. Rent is a part of that. These are expensive cities. Chicago's expensive. I wouldn't say Atlanta's too expensive, but where it is I guess it's in. I actually went over to where the Scratch place was in. What is it? No, I forgot where it was in. It's I can't remember right now in Atlanta exactly that the neighborhood that it's called, but it's actually kind of expensive over there. So yeah, these rents are very expensive, and that's clearly why the New York office had to give up their windows and give up their whole room. Like maybe it's like that particular room is like 1/4 of the whole of the student facilities. But yeah, so let's continue reading this. It's been tough trying to bounce back from COVID, says Jamie Kogue, aka DJ Immortal, the Academy's director. I don't know if that's the actual Immortal from the Allies, but it sounds like it. Luckily, we started teaching online classes because it seemed the business model had changed. Like I was just saying, everybody's online. You see it happening to a lot of businesses during COVID. We got used to FaceTime and Zoom and doing everything online. I have students who lived in Hollywood who preferred online since it was convenient. On a positive note, we went from only teaching people who could make it to our physical location to teaching people around the world. The first Scratch DJ Academy opened in New York in 2003. Wrong, right? 2002. By Jam Master Jay, the DJ from the iconic hip-hop group Run DMC. After opening a second location in Los Angeles, the school's founders reached out to Immortal to see if he was interested in running a Miami branch. I just had my first kid, and it was a perfect time for me to get into teaching, he adds. It was a time when people were still thought that a DJ school sounded crazy. The school became my obsession. He helped students with the technical side of DJing and the business and branding elements. A couple of months ago, the leadership of the South Florida location realized that it had to shut down its physical location and plan for all its lessons and certification programs to wrap up by the end of September. The New York and Los Angeles locations will continue to hold in-person classes. So this is very important for turntablism because this kind of shows that not only is the focus waning and shifting to outside of the U.S., because right now, DJ schools in France are using, TTM notation. We're going to be covering them. The DJ schools in South America are using, TTM notation. We're going to be covering that. But, and they all, big up my work. And, we're going to be, going into the details of all that type of stuff. Because really in turntablism, if you're not teaching people how to read, you're promoting illiteracy. So since we're the apex of hip hop science, just like MIT's the apex of collegiate science in the States, TTM Academy being the apex of hip hop science, we're basically canvassing all of the hip hop educational institutions around the world, and we're going to be making a list of every single hip hop and DJ educational institution, and whether they're using TTM and whether they're not using TTM, which means literacy, scratch literacy. Is it a literate institution or is it a non-literate institution? Right? And so we're going to be covering that. So, was Scratch DJ Academy a literate institution? And Scratch DJ Academy in Miami a literate institution? And as it seems, I don't see any TTM, because it's like, imagine if you have a school of mathematics and you don't see any math. It's like you can tell somebody 2 + 2 is 4, and they got to remember that in their head. And they can remember, 22 + 22 is 44. They can do all that stuff in their head. But obviously writing it on the board and writing it down is going to help. And let's say, you tell somebody some, new slow juggle technique. You can write it down and send it to them, give it to them just like classwork in school, and they can take it home and they can write it down. So we're going to scan these for any type of literacy. It's not just the TTM notation. It's the fact that this is about us being pushing literacy in schools, right? We see like art on the walls and things like that, but we don't see any literacy. Whereas in Europe and South America, we see schools that are, putting matrix posters on the walls. We see schools that are actually embracing scratch literacy. So the topic of today is really focused on, does not using scratch literally kind of is that kind of a nail in the coffin for for facilities becoming more and more obscure, right? Okay, So we're going to keep scrolling down, and we're going to keep looking for some more TTM notation. All right, so like we don't see anything here. All right, like we're going to look for some whiteboards. We're going to look for just any type of educational stuff, because a lot of times people like to connotate hip hop with street culture and all that. And obviously, it did come out of culture. But the thing is that, limiting it to street culture is, a very dangerous thing. It's very, very dangerous, because anytime you do that, you're just basically saying like, oh, okay, yeah, hip hop is like gully. Hip hop is baser. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop isn't high science, but obviously it is. But when we have a lot of educational institutions around the world that aren't even pushing the actual literacy, like you see, let's see, what's this right here? So yeah, you can see this right here. Look, and we can see some stuff happening there, but there's no TTM on there. What I will see sometimes is I'll see like like they might have what do you call it, like the notation of a crossfader curve cutoff, notation or something like that. But like yeah, so you can see, I can't see if this is like so you see these like lines here. Can't even really see what that is, but I guess they're teaching bars or something like that, bar concepts. But you see that within hip hop education, there's not a lot of there's not, people aren't pushing literacy. They're not pushing written stuff. And just as dinosaurs become extinct, hip hop is literate now. Yeah, in the '90s, hip hop wasn't literate. I'm talking about literate as far as notational systems, and stuff like that. But now now people are literate. So and obviously the literate people are dominating now. It's like and you can refer to our lecture on why are the top turntablists literate in TTM these days, right? Like we got K Swizz, we got Qbert, there's just so many. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so we're gonna keep searching for some more, and I'm gonna we're gonna keep scrolling and seeing if we can find any type of scratch literacy, right? Or is this purely a vocational school? And that's the thing. So when you're purely a vocational school, like then you're kind of they're kind of limiting themselves to being something like like if you're learning how to fix a car or something like that, that's vocational school, and that's dope, and that can make you money. DJing can make you a lot of money. Wedding DJ, you DJ a college party, DJ a some type of event, it can make you a lot of money. I'm looking here in the back to see if there's some TTM notation, and this looks like it's kind of like some TTM notation right here. But this isn't the oh, that's some art. That's not even any notation for students. That was some art with some waves in it. But Scratch DJ Academy New York does use TTM notation with some of their instructors, and we've covered in the past Dirty Digits. We did 100 days of TTM. But remember, I did do a critique of Dirty Digits, pushing the tug job scratch, and I felt just like in the last lecture, I felt that it wasn't right for children students to be seeing or hearing about tutorials online called the tug job. You could call it something else, or whatever. A lot of when I made the Matrix poster, I made sure that I wasn't putting those type of names and stuff like that in there. You know what I'm saying? Because anytime you're having, kids and stuff like that, you have to really be aware. But yeah, so I'm just, scanning this, looking for TTM. And as I said, we're going to be going through every single hip hop educational facility in the world and scanning them and seeing if they're promoting scratch literacy. Because my theory is that in the future, if you're not promoting scratch literacy, you'll be a dinosaur, right? But yeah. So still going down. I'm not seeing anything. Not even just one thing. Not even like, hey, this is Knockers doing this. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, there we go. All right. So Knockers was promoting it. That's great. So shout out to Knockers. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this because I'm always hyping up everybody that's using notation and stuff like that. So that's great. So let me make this a little bit bigger so I can take a screenshot of it. But yeah, shout out to Knockers for using TTM notation. And like I was saying before, all the top turntablists in the world, Vect, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, there's so many top turntablists, everybody that's using TTM notation. So we see that Knockers was using it and used it, But you can see that there's one out of thousands and thousands of pictures, or hundreds and hundreds of pictures of just kind of promotional flyer type of kind of stuff where everything kind of looks the same. You're not. It's not a lot of learning, because a lot of times educational institutions feel that they have to hoard the learning and monetize it, so they don't want to show you the notation until you pay the money or do whatever. But yeah, it's really sad that this institution had to close down. So yeah, my critique was, even though we see Knockers using it right there, he could have been. I'm not him, but whoever the director was, obviously he could have been more prominent in that. You know what I'm saying? And nobody ever asked me to lecture or present or anything. I'm clearly blacklisted from turntable from a lot of turntablists crony structures, organizations. There's a lot of cronyism in hip hop, and that's what we're doing here at TTM Academy. We're scanning and analyzing the whole game, the whole scratch game, right? So we're looking at the scratch game from a bird's eye view, and then we're zooming in like a hawk, right? So that's what we're doing here. All right. So yeah. So shout out to Knockers for teaching those scratches, right? But yeah, we're gonna keep scrolling down, and notice that the Miami one lasted the longest, and they were teaching. Knockers was promoting scratch literacy, but I'm not sure about the other instructors. And a lot of times, usually when people do present TTM, it's just more of an aside where like they show something one that day, or it's not like something that's on the wall and permanently on the wall, like other schools that have matrix posters up and things like that. Let's see. So yeah, I'm not seeing any more notation outside of that one picture. We're gonna scan this whole thing to see if we can find any type of notation on any type of whiteboards or anything. We see a lot of walls that are empty and full of art, but art doesn't teach people, right? We see what's his name? What's his name? Yeah, Rich Medina, right? It's like he's a great blending DJ, but yeah, he's not a turntablist. So a lot of times hip hop people are focusing on who's the most famous and who's this and that, but they're not focusing on the core of the matter, which is education. Education has nothing to do with fame or how many people come out to your party. Obviously, it's a factor if somebody's wants somebody with experience, but as far as education, theory is I would say is more important than experience. Like if you're teaching physics, you don't need to have somebody that worked at CERN to be able to teach everybody. Obviously somebody at CERN, it'd be great to have them lecture at a school or whatever, or teach there, but you don't have to have them. Somebody can learn physics and in school and teach it to people even with a small amount of experience, because most teachers in general don't have a lot of experience in fields. Like let's say a business teacher. They're not, every business teacher is not a billionaire. So just because you're a teacher doesn't mean you have to be a master at your particular subject or field. But yeah, as we can see, we keep scrolling down, and we don't see any TTM anywhere. There's no literacy really being promoted through any of this. And for those that don't know, this is one of my pastimes of scanning pictures and looking for TTM artists and educators so that I can promote them and help unify us turntablists, because that's part of the reason why I created scratch notation, was to help unify all the dialects, because at the time everybody had these different dialects, and some people would call a scratch one thing, some people would call a scratch another thing. Like when I learned the chirp, it was actually a dice that I had learned, and it wasn't a chirp. Like I was taught that chirping and dicing were the same thing. And but they weren't. But when you have notation written down, you can know, nope, that's a chirp. A chirp is a very mathematic, exact, physical. Not physical, but written structure that you can actually graph on paper. You can write down with your pencil. You can write with the crayon. You can write with anything, right? So this is why I'm saying that they're presenting this as a vocational school, because they're not presenting. They're not giving kids homework assignments. For my students, my private students, I give people assignments like, okay, here's these 8 scratches that we covered today, and you can take these home and work on that, or here's these different type of juggle things that you're trying to work on. Here's some things to think about that you might want to work on, just like in school. Like imagine your teacher says, go home and just practice your math, but don't write it down. Anytime you're telling somebody don't write it down, that's somebody that's not the best educator. And here at TTM Academy, being the apex of hip hop science, we're critiquing everybody's forms of and modes of education. We're critiquing and analyzing the efficiency, right, the efficacy, right, of people's curriculums and notational style. I mean, curriculums and teaching styles, right? So I'm seeing all different types of stuff, but I'm not seeing any. I guess that's just a schedule, but yeah, you don't see any actual Scratch educational stuff on the walls. So it's like, I understand the model of like, hey, let's kind of have like a gallery, a kind of chill out place, as well as a school. That's cool, but they're all closing. So so something's obviously going to have to change in their business model for them to be able to flip it. But yeah, so we're going to keep going. So this is the MIA branch that just closed this fall, and we can see we got all types of stuff. They invite everybody, but you see that I'm blacklisted from this. None of these schools are ever reaching out to me. All right, boom. And when you have seen me perform at Scratch at DJ Academy, that was because Rolly Roll was inviting me. Shout out to Rolly Roll, the homie Rolly Roll, who keeps it real. He's one of the first people in New York to ever ask me to come and lecture about TTM. He had me lecture at not at Scratch Academy, but in at his own lab in Queens. And yeah, shout out to the whole Flip Platoon. You know what I'm saying? Those cats are all heads. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so let's keep going. We're still scanning, right? So you can see it's a lot of it feels like a lot of flyers. Because when I see hip hop, on Instagram and stuff like that, that's how it kind of looks to me. It's all kind of like flyers, and it's just kind of like noise. It's kind of like eye noise that it's just kind of like this. It's like, oh yeah, Serato, let's all jock Serato. It's like, one picture can change somebody's life. That's why when I made the Matrix, I tried to condense everything into one picture. Just like, hey, if you only had this one picture, what's the one picture that can make the strongest impact? Just like when we all grew up with, a periodic table of elements, or even a mathematics multiplication table that has just all the multiplication tables on there, so you don't have to, or you don't have to just memorize it, but it can help you memorize the stuff, right? So yeah, boom, we got all the way to the bottom, right? So, and I understand that Instagram is also for marketing, but Instagram has a lot more power to go beyond just marketing. So out of all these hundreds of things we just scrolled through, we only saw one diagram of somebody actually using Scratch literacy, right? And Scratch literacy is the key to understanding taking scratches to the next level. People can argue against that. Obviously, Legends didn't have it in the past, and we didn't need it, but now turntablism's at a higher level. It's a higher science, and people obviously are using it. Like I was just saying, Vect is multi world champion, and he is still teaching it to his students, and we're gonna cover his stuff too in the future again. And we did our 100 days of TTM lecture series. We're going to start that back up this year. As I was saying before, Discovery last year kind of just slowed me down, so I had to pause everything because I was writing hundreds and hundreds of pages of Discovery documents and responses to my opposition's Discovery documents and all that type of stuff. So it was pretty grueling. So I had to just pause everything. All right, so we're gonna close the Scratch Miami. All right, we just totally scanned it. Now we're gonna scan Chicago. Right, so let's go through Chicago. We're gonna see this was about 2019 that it stopped, and we're gonna keep going. So we don't see any notation in there. All right, let's keep going. I'm gonna keep scrolling. I see a lot of white walls. Not to say that they have to have matrix posters, and they could have their own drawings, but just some type of literacy. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's classical music notation, or even if it's just writing down the names of the scratches. You know what I'm saying? Literacy is very, very important. All right. All right. So yeah, we're scrolling, we're scrolling, we're scrolling. All right, let's see what's on here. All right, so busy to minimal, low filter, high filter. So we're teaching like, filters and cutoff stuff like that. Low pass, high pass, turning a knob, right? And to me, this is like in the year 2017. This is to me, I would say it's a waste of a whiteboard. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that they're drawing it up there, but it's just people don't very much really use whiteboards in hip hop education as much as they could be and should be. You know what I'm saying? This is great though. It's cool that they're doing that, but for what they're doing is, if you're teaching DJing, whiteboards, should have a lot more stuff on it. Just like if you have a class and you see a teacher just has a couple of things written down. For those that don't know, outside of turntablism, I'm a real teacher as well. I used to teach in New York public schools for years. I mean, like at least a decade. You know what I'm saying? And I've taught, I've taught around the world. So as a teacher, who teaches other teachers how to teach, that's kind of what TTM Academy is, as well as a hub for scratch literacy and scratch education. I'm always pushing myself to even have better tutorials or better methods of teaching, and pushing other teachers to having better methods of teaching. But we don't even know when somebody wrote this down, because obviously they're not using the cutoff, and this is not part of this lesson. This might have been, somebody might have written that up 2 weeks before that, and it just been up there for 2 weeks, And that's what I see a lot with whiteboards. Like when we were going through the Beat Junkies stuff, they had the same stuff on their whiteboard for years, And that's what happens a lot of institutions where, you see blank whiteboards, right? You see it's a blank whiteboard right there. But, we got a famous, we got a Scratch Bastard, and that's the thing, is that fame and all that type of stuff is passing. It's like 40 years from now, people aren't going to know a lot of these names and a lot of these things. But TTM's still going to be here. People are still going to be Scratch literate, and people are still going to be teaching Scratch literacy. So we see another blank whiteboard right here. But, we see people, being cool and stuff like that. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? And just so you know, I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just analyzing the game. You know what I'm saying? I'm literally analyzing the game. And yeah, we see, blank whiteboards again. I'm glad they have a whiteboard. It's better than not having a whiteboard, but we see a lot of blank whiteboards. And the thing is that, a lot of the teachers that are teaching, a lot of people, the criteria is just being a DJ. Like, hey, I've DJ and, I got experience. I've battled before, I got a crew, whatever. And so, yeah, I want to teach. And that's great. So people should be able to teach. But now in 2024, the criteria of being a Scratch educator is way higher. If you aren't Scratch literate and you're a Scratch educator in 2024, you might be having some problems. I'm not just teaching just regular stuff, but I'm just talking about as far as an educational institution, not like a private tutor or that. I'm talking about an actual school, because any school that's not using literacy, there's suspect cronyism going on, and that's what we're talking about. All right, so let's look at these whiteboards. Right, so we can see, they're teaching time, cutting time into a grid. Right, that's cool, like a timeline for DAWs to the students, and that's great. But a lot of people feel young people can't understand all that stuff, or it's too advanced. Like even John Carluccio, when I did my second book on Scratch notation, and he was the publisher on the book, he was like, this is kind of like too advanced. Let's just, because I actually wanted to have a matrix in that book, but he was like, no, we don't want to go over their heads and that. So the matrix could have easily been in that book way back then. But I kind of after 2000 and after 2005, I kind of just got heavily into my music touring and DJing as Crunk Tesla. For those who don't know, I have music under the name Crunk Tesla or Os Crunk. And I was in that for a while, focused just on that. I'm still doing that now. I'm about to drop an album with Micah Nine actually, like a psychedelic kind of juke footwork, trap drill kind of album. And we talk about that in the future because we're going to be making a PMOS 100 based on Micah Nine's actual rap patterns and lyrics and all that type of stuff. So we're taking things to super high levels. That's why I say we're the MIT of scratch education, because just like you see Boston Dynamics with little scratch robots and stuff. We're about to have I'm sorry, with dog robots. You're about to see a bunch of scratch robots with our school. All right, so let's look at this. Oh yeah, but back to the children thing. I don't believe that education should be age oriented. I think that you can teach any subject to any age. It's just the language you have to use might be different. So I think if you're teaching quantum mechanics, kindergartners can understand quantum mechanics. They can understand, hey, this atom has basically nothing in it. You can teach them what the word atom is. It's easy. It's like they understand it. They're like, yeah, atom's mostly empty. It's 99% space. And you can draw it on the board and show the valence fields and all that type of stuff, right? But as I was saying before, modern hip hop education is purely vocational in general. All right, we can see them teaching timelines again. That's cool. All right. All right. Whoops. Let's click over here. Yep. Same thing right there. So let's keep scrolling. We're just gonna keep checking whiteboards. And we're going to be checking if Chicago had any type of, notation on the walls, right? And it doesn't have to also be on the walls. It can also be, just on paperwork. But, most facilities that, teach anything in the history of education, people tend to write stuff on a board, right? Whether it's a chalkboard or whatever. So, yeah, I'm going to have to say that, these institutions are behind when they're not showing people what they're doing looks like, because you can see what somebody's doing and follow what they do, and you have to look at them to see it, which means you have to pay the school to see it. If you write it down, you can take it home and you don't have to see the teacher do it anymore. Like one of my favorite new scratches is the chin machine scratch now. So it's like, when I did that tutorial on the chin machine scratch, shout out to Chin Machine. He's one of the top 15 DJs that I study around the world that I've been talking about. Chin Machine, even DJ Ben. It's just so many great turntablists that I study. Well, not so many, a limited number of great turntablists that I study. It's very, it's a very, very complex science that's getting even more and more complex every day. But yeah, we have Vect here, who's a TTM teacher. But we don't see them inviting him up and him writing on the whiteboard, because a lot of times even people that do it are kind of afraid to use it because they feel like, oh, I'm being too nerdy. But if you're in school, you're not trying to be cool in school. School is about being nerdy. That's what school is, right? And we have Dirty Digits here, right? Who he's never invited me to. He's the director of Scratch Academy in New York. He's never invited me there. Remember Precise right here, who y'all just saw. He's got me blocked, even though I never met him, never had any words about him. I'm only bigging up him, But yeah, we see something here, some paper right there, but I'm not sure what's on that paper. But that looks cool that there's, at least there's some paper written down. But, when I have my classes, if you go to my Cartagena thing on Udemy, you can go to that and, see my classes that I did in Udemy. I give the students paperwork, and I give, I have whiteboards full of stuff, right? So let's keep scrolling down here. We're going to keep scanning these whiteboards, all right? So we're almost done with the Chicago facility that closed down, all right? And this, like I was saying before, we're talking a lot about cronyism in hip-hop culture and all that type of stuff too. And within education, cronyism is a really bad thing because, if it's a club and who's, playing at the party, yeah, cronyism is kind of expected. But when you have an educational institution, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm the OG DJ of this region. So, yeah, or my homies, know the people that started this school, so they're going to give me this teaching job. Meanwhile, there's teachers around the world that are literate and they're teaching literacy and nobody's booking them, right? So, yeah, like, look at this. We see, whiteboard here. That's cool. See somebody's IG But I'm just not seeing, I'm not seeing a high level of actual education. So yeah, we see these whiteboards. DJing is an art. An artist doesn't paint the same picture. That's cool. Yeah, DJ's art. That's definitely true. DJing is definitely an art form. But DJing is also a science too, as well. That's very important. I'm definitely a STEAM person versus a STEM. So I do believe the arts are very very necessary. Um, but I do believe that science, art is based on science. I think science comes before art. Art is a way of manipulating science or creating stuff out of the sciences that already exist, right? So yeah, we're just scanning whiteboards right here. We're scanning for anything. So we see dirty digits. We see homes from the beat junkies. And this, I'm looking here. I see WW dot. I thought that might be some scratches, but it was WWs, right? So we're not seeing a lot of scratch science. We're seeing a lot of art, a lot of flyers, and flyers give me headaches. Anytime I see a bunch of flyers in my scroll, or if you go to a turntablist page and it's just full of flyers, it kind of gives me a headache. Um, and and also the Chicago, shout out to the Chicago Turntablist Authority. I just want them to know I don't have any beef with them, even though I critiqued DJ Toltec in the past for being bigoted and saying that there were no black Native Americans. He was trying to say that. He was trying to say that they didn't exist. He was trying to say that Olmec heads were not black people, even though they clearly are, right? And we did a whole lecture on that. You guys can refer to that lecture. Just go to our search engine on our TTM Academy and YouTube, and you can just type Toltec and or type Olmec, OLMEC, or whatever. But yeah, so here's some whiteboards, right? There's some whiteboards right there, and the teacher nodding his head in the background. But to me, that's I think education is should be different than this, and this kind of format to me is archaic now, where you're not showing people what the cuts look like. You know what I'm saying? And now we have software that can show us what they look like too. So these schools aren't really updating, right? And that's what schools are supposed to be. Any school is supposed to be on the cutting edge. That's what education is about. Is about updating, being the current cutting edge, being in the future. Because if you're not, and you're just teaching old stuff, then you're kind of indoctrinating people with subpar material and content, right? That's what I was saying. There's just flyers. It's kind of like a educational party, right? And oh, cool people, famous people, rich people, and obviously A-Track is a amazing turntablist. But if he's and he was, we've covered before him trying to steal my notation system, but why isn't he at Scratch Academy drawing his notation stuff on the wall, right? It's like obviously there's weird stuff going on, and there's a lot of weirdoism stuff happening in this whole game, and that's why we're covering it and we're going into detail. We're going to look at every single one, right? And you can see, it's very, very clear. It's very, very clear that, nobody's really pushing scratch literacy, right? We see lots of students, but, how come the students don't have pieces of paper right next to them? Because they're being taught that you're just supposed to follow this person. But you can do that on YouTube. You don't need to be in a classroom and see somebody say, hey, look, I'm backspinning. Now you backspin it. And it's also, if you're trying to show somebody and they're upside down, you got to see it from the perspective that you're seeing it. If they're looking across the room, they're seeing everything in reverse and upside down. It's like, I remember looking, when I used to rewind the 96 DMC and analyzing Rock Raider and trying to learn how to juggle, seeing it backwards really confused me, So when you see it, backwards, when students are seeing it like this, this is just a very, very ineffective setup, I think it's best to have a screen that's showing it projected, where the students can actually see what's going on from their own perspective. From the perspective of how the teacher is actually seeing it. You know what I'm saying? So you see many tutorials online where the best ones, maybe let's say Emma Shorty and even the real Shorty, DJ Shorty, the junglist. People put their images from the perspective of how they're seeing it, so the students can learn much easier. All right. So yeah, we see that. All right. Now let's keep scrolling down. That's cool that it's cool that kids and the younger generation are a part of this, and kids are into the notation. Young people are into the notation, right? Oh, and we got all the way to the end, right? So we finally got to the end, and this is what I was talking about, the supreme stuff. When I say supreme heads of just like, oh, everything's plush and that's cool, and this is dope for everything to look dope. But if you don't have a, a core soul to what you're doing as far as core dynamics of education, then all these nice looking tables and setups don't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not the expensiveness of the mixer or whatever that creates the skill. Obviously, expensive mixers can help you do things that cheaper mixers can't, and if you have skill levels, it's not going to impede your skill, but it's not super necessary. You know what I'm saying? So we went through Chicago. Now we're gonna go to the next one. Let's go through Philly. So let's see when Philly closed. Let's see. This is 2018 a post, but that's a pinned post, so it could be out of order the date. Let's look at something that's not pinned. Okay, so that's the last post. So that was 2018. So in Philly it closed down. And a lot of people could look at this as like education in America is poor anyway. We have very, very poor educational systems in America compared to, places around the world. Like in America, kids are learning, multiplication and division, when they're like, 8. Where in China, kids are learning multiplication, division. I taught kids in China for like 4 years. And kids in China are learning, that stuff in kindergarten. You can teach a 5-year-old, division and multiplication. It's like there's no need to dumb people down. And we're about to go through an educational renaissance all over the world, not just in scratch notation and education, but all fields of education. Because with new forms of video game apps and computer apps and just all the information that's on the internet now at the tips of our fingers, everything is changing. So. There's a big wave of high level education that's about to come to everybody in the world, because they've been, the reason I'm not putting my kid in schools in Atlanta public schools is even New York public schools is just because it's a lot of indoctrination, and it's just too slow for me. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait till like fourth grade to start, to junior high to start division. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. So let's keep looking. Let's look. All right. We see concepts of bars, and writing down names is better than nothing. Now, this is Cosmo Baker right here. And what's very interesting about Cosmo Baker is that if you type in Cosmo Baker Spank Rock, Spank Rock actually stopped Cosmo Baker from beating down these dudes at South by Southwest. And it's just like he's very like kind of like a kind of a meathead, and he's a big DJ in Brooklyn and stuff like that, and and that's what this is about. It's like these teachers that are coming through. It's like they don't have me come through, but they'll have Cosmo Baker, who's he's a great club DJ. He's got a thing called the Rub that he used to do. I'm not sure if he's still doing it, but yeah, it's just kind of it's just this whole cronyist type of thing within education. It just makes the educational facility look bad, because it's like, yeah, that's great that they're that he's talking to them and showing it, but this is kind of more like a fan type of thing. It's not really educational, because it's like when it's educational, somebody's handing you documents, somebody's handing you paperwork, somebody's challenging your brain. Education should be challenging. It shouldn't be just as it shouldn't just be like you're just looking at somebody and they're talking to you. So I'm just saying these I believe most scratch teachers aren't pushing or aren't doing enough. You know what I'm saying? They could be going way harder. So yeah, you see once again, yeah, this Cosmo Baker, right? All that type of stuff. But yeah, just type Cosmo Baker Spank Rock and you'll find I was filming. I was there. It was me and Uffy and Feeds. Yeah, it was me, Uffy, and Feeds. Uffy had just come out. And shout out to Feeds. And yeah, this guy like bumped into Cosmo or something, and then Cosmo started punching him, beating him down. He was beating down a black dude, you know what I'm saying? And Spank Rock, stopped it. So one could even say that attack was a kind of a racial attack, and this is what I was talking about before. At a lot of facilities, you're going to see this where on the whiteboard, they'll have the cutoff, crossfader, curve settings and stuff like that, and that's a very important concept to learn. And I think that that's great that they're writing this on the wall, which is great. And this is how it should be, where there's a lot of concepts and stuff like that. But this is usually where they stop, And this is kind of intro to turn. This is first day stuff when you teach somebody about the curve, and it's not like you're going to teach this in 5 lessons later or something. The curve is one of the first things you have to tell people about why they're cutting it sharp and why they need to have it sharp. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's a up fader or something, and they want it to have some fade on it. You know what I'm saying? But we can see this is the only thing that they're only using whiteboards to show really basic concepts. They're not using it as a general teaching tool like regular teachers in regular school. And right now, you see this thing right here. I'm like, is that a scratch or is that art? I can't even see, but it looks more like it's art. It doesn't seem like it's necessarily a scratch. But maybe it is scratches in there. I can't see if that's like a scratch right there, or I can't even tell if it's art. But we're gonna keep going into this. So let's keep scrolling down. All right, we're gonna keep scrolling down. Now let's look at this whiteboard, right? So we see this whiteboard right here. Nope, I'm not seeing anything. Right, not seeing anything in the whiteboards. Let's keep scrolling. Let's keep going. All right, I'm trying to go faster. Some people are saying, these lectures are taking too long. But anytime you're doing something intellectual, speed shouldn't be an issue. And let's see. So this crossfader stuff was on the board on this date, which was October 20th, 2017. But let's look back to where we just were when we saw it. It was a little bit farther back. That was 2017, October. And this is November 2017. So they keep this on the board. Just like how I was telling you before, the beat junkies, they keep that same thing on the board and they never erase it. So a lot of whiteboards are stagnant. So if you're a facility with a stagnant whiteboard, that's also a bad thing because, stagnant whiteboard shows that you just got something up and you're not even really using it. You know what I'm saying? And it's very also important to note that just like how Cosmo Baker's a great DJ, beat junkies are legends. Just because you're a great DJ or legend does not mean that you're a good scratch educator, right? It does not mean that you're a good teacher. Being a teacher involves a lot more things than just, having experience. And look at this. We see that it's, that same exact thing is still up there, right? Let's look up there. So look, so they're showing volume, they're showing bar concepts and volume in and volume out. But TTM runs on the same concepts of this, but they could be showing TTM the same thing, right? And why not just put a matrix poster up there so it's easier so they don't have to write it down, right? That's why the matrix posters are out there, so people don't have to write down all these different techniques. You can just put that up on your wall as a teacher. And anybody that has a DJ school around the world that's hearing this, if you're a DJ school, I'll send you a digital matrix poster for free because I'm here to promote scratch education. It's not just about me selling posters. I'm not just trying to sell posters and put them on the walls of all these places. I'm trying to teach people, and people put them on their own walls if they want to. This is an interesting photo because this kind of relates back to our last lecture, or one of our recent lectures on Qbert and the toasted marshmallow breaks, right? With the toasted marshmallow breaks, the issue surrounding giving kids crazy album art, right? Out there album art, outsider art, or whatever, weirdo art. So we're gonna keep so I guess this isn't TTM art on there. It looks like something else. It looks like some other different type of art, but I would like to see what this is. Maybe we'll see it farther down the line. But shout out to everybody that had this facility though in Philly. They tried their best and it didn't work out. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep moving forward. All right, here we go. Now we can see really what's on the wall. So look, It wasn't TTM on the wall. I thought because from far it looked like it could be like some like a scratch there or something. But this is just a Diplo poster, and we're gonna be going into me going back and forth with Diplo. I first met him at he was a fan at my show in 2003. I was performing at Pianos with TTC, my homies from France, and they were headlining, and then it was me and Tess underneath them, and he was at our show because he had just been on Ninja Tune's label Big Dot or whatever, their hip hop label. And he was at my show, and then he started talking to me, and we were having a conversation about producers, and then he just ghosted me in the middle of the conversation. I'm like, who is this guy? Then years later, he said a bunch of racist stuff to me and stuff like that. But we're gonna cover the Diplo stuff in the future. Because remember when he came out with Major Lazer, all that stuff was very prejudiced. It was very racist. Major Lazer. He had people just doing all these kind of foolish clown type of things on stage, but we're gonna talk into all those dynamics in the future. But yeah, we finally found what was on that poster, so we're gonna keep looking. Oh, okay, so I see. I guess Cosmo was like the director of it. Let's look at the whiteboard, see if it's a little bit different. Looks like a schedule on the whiteboard. All right, we got Black Dog coming through, famous people coming through. Very, very dope rapper. Probably the best freestyler in the world, or one of the best freestylers in the world. But yeah, we can see. Oh, it's the same stuff that was written up from before. Oh no, it's not. So it's some DJ names and different things. So yeah, we're analyzing all these whiteboards and let's see. All right, so I'm not seeing a lot of scratch literacy, right? And we're dealing with DJ institutions. So if you're a DJ institution and it's failing, you might want to start promoting some scratch literacy, because we can see that institutions that aren't promoting scratch literacy are clearly failing, and the only ones that aren't are the ones that are staples like SAE, that are vocational audio engineering schools that are focused on just teaching audio engineering concepts, and DJing is a subset of that. For them, it's a subset of audio engineering. It's not a turntablist school. But Scratch DJ Academies, these are all turntablist schools, and you know what I'm saying. But with the EDM culture and all these more recent kind of whitewash cultures, when you try to bring that into DJ education, then it kind of it typically backfires, as we can see, and all these places are closing down. Like nobody, people, they weren't able to gain enough support. You can see the whiteboard still. In this, you can see the whiteboard hasn't changed. You know what I'm saying? And you can see, yes, it's and I'm close to Philly. I'm close to New York. None of these people invite me. None of, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and Cosmo knows who I am. And Cosmo, never invited me. And boom, it's gone. So I guess he must have been a director of this. It seems like that, but maybe not. But let's keep scrolling down. Let's keep checking these whiteboards. All right. Nope. Not seeing anything. Right. And also, it's important for, I would even say it's important for DJs now to have, just like if you have a school that's teaching violin, not only will it be a whiteboard where they're writing stuff on the wall, people are going to have a little music stand where you put your little paper on the music stand. The paper could be on the table, like regular school, or it could be on the music stand, like in music schools. You know what I'm saying? So you can sight read and all that type of stuff, And sight reading beat juggling is actually very, very easy. You know what I'm saying? It's sight reading scratch notation is very complicated, obviously, because you're having to look at all these clicks and, you have to really be detailed in how you're looking at it. But sight reading beat juggling, you're just seeing a bunch of, triangles and lines. It's very, very easy to see that, oh, look, the line's getting shorter and shorter. I'm doing a classic, some classic backspinning, kind of making the loop shorter and shorter with the backspinning, making it one whole bar, then half a bar, then a quarter of a bar, then, quarter note, you know what I'm saying? Then an eighth note, start, looping it fast, right? And once again, rest in peace to, Jam Master Jay. So we're gonna close this one. We're gonna close the Scratch DJ Academy Philly, and we're gonna go into the next one. Okay, we're done. So we did all four, and that's probably pretty much it for today. Let's see what else I have saved up here. So yeah, this is the site for Scratch NYC Scratch. Oh, this is Scratch NYC. This is something else. This is like um, a satellite site that they have, I guess. But yeah, so let's keep going on over here. So this is what the website looks like. Scratch DJ Academy. They got New York. They've got Los Angeles. Let's click on this menu because with this menu you can kind of see that they got the group classes, DJ certifications, right? And we're going to be offering our TTM certifications for especially for teachers. Proving that you're literate in TTM notation. We're going to be having that coming up very, very soon. But it's very important to see that these facilities that they're pushing they're pushing the education, but they're just they're not really getting too deep into it. And now that everybody's a DJ and everybody has YouTube, in-person learning is becoming a thing of the past. But I think in-person learning is great, and I think it's can always be used. But in-person learning has to be updated. You can't keep using the same features from 100 years ago. Because remember, people have been using chalkboards for hundreds of years. If not forever, since the beginning of education. But I do want y'all to see let's see, private lessons, group classrooms for kids, other offerings, right? So yeah, host. I want y'all to see that they also have. Let me just go to the main page. So private lessons, they have the lessons, but a big part of their model is party DJing, and they book DJs for partying. So yeah, DJing starts here. And for those that don't know, I'm blacklisted from DJing a lot of events and turntables. You see that DMC different events. They're not like, hey, yeah, let's have Radon come out and scratch for 5 minutes or whatever or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But but it's just very, very interesting. You see the schools aren't inviting the person that invented all these things. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, because a lot of times with cronyism, everybody thinks they're the ish. It's like, yo, I'm the ish, so I know how to DJ. I'm good. And like I was saying before, just because you're a dope DJ doesn't mean you're a dope educator. All right. So let's go to here. We're about to end this up. So Scratch DJ Academy, Los Angeles. We're not going to go through the whole one here because there's 1,000 posts. We're just talking about the ones that closed. We'll probably definitely talk about Scratch DJ Academy New York and Los Angeles in the future. But today's lecture was literally just about the closing of 4 out of 6 branches and why those things closed. And from my perspective, it really does seem that these things closed just because they're not updating with the times. You know what I'm saying? And this is the actual YouTube for Scratch DJ Academy. And you can see the same thing. We're going to scan this for some actual notation. And you're going to see that there's not one little piece of Scratch notation on all of this, And a lot of people say, oh, why should they have to have it? It's just the same as like, did your school have notation? Yes. Every single one of you that's seeing this, you guys were all taught different types of notational forms. And everybody that's watching this is most likely literate in some language. So if you're literate in some language and you went to school and you became literate, why shouldn't schools like this have literacy? And that's what the point of this lecture is showing that we got a bunch of blank walls, we got a bunch of blank content. And when you're trying to juice your students for money, then you want to stretch out the courses, make it as long as possible. You know what I'm saying? I try to make my education of students as short as possible. I try to teach them as much as possible and get them going on their careers as fast as possible, or get them, trained to do what they're trying to learn, or whatever their, skills that they're trying to accomplish, or wherever they're trying to do, helping them do that. But you guys can see that, right? And actually, let me type this thing in here. I wanted y'all to see the Cosmo Baker thing. Cosmo Baker Spank Rock. Well, I don't know if it's 2 words. Spank Rock. Cosmo Baker. All right, here goes. So, Spank Rock stops DJ Ayers and Cosmo Baker from beating down Texans at South by Southwest Festival 2000. So this was like. So this was me filming this, and I was chilling with Fees and Uffy And this, so let's play.
What? New York, what?
So right here, this is Cosmo with the afro, with the or the Jufro. Right here, he's in the purple. So I'm gonna rewind this. And this is an educator, so they made him the director of, somebody that's beating down people in the street. They're making him the director of their Philly branch, and that just shows what happens when you go with cronyism like that. If you're putting like kind of thuggish kind of people in teaching positions, your school's not, might not last.
What? New York, what?
So that's Spank Rock right there with the glasses. And yeah, Cosmo Baker with the orange, with the purple shirt.
Yo, Cosmo! That shit, bitch! Cosmo, man! Oh! TV right there.
So that's Cosmo right there. You see Cosmo throwing the guy.
Stop that shit, man! Yo, y'all gotta stop that fight.
That's me saying y'all gotta stop that. You know what I'm saying?
That's bad. Y'all gotta stop that.
So that was Cosmo right there. You saw Cosmo.
That's bad. Y'all gotta stop that.
Trying to beat people down. You know what I'm saying? All that had to happen.
Love, not hate. Yo, peace.
But yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to show y'all that. It was just kind of interesting to me. So yeah, this is unfortunately the time when Jam Master Jay passed. And, very, very sad that he only got to see his school last for a couple of months. Let's skip to the next thing. So yeah, we already ran over Rob, and so let's keep going. Let's skip over this. Yeah, so we're pretty much done. So yep, that's definitely it. And I'm gonna catch y'all later onto the next one. This is actually Rob's his LinkedIn. If you want to see his LinkedIn, right? His LinkedIn's right here. All right. Okay. All right. I'll catch y'all later. All right. Peace.